Lions. Welcome to another episode of Lions Den. Great group today. We're going to have some powerful energy. Get ready. Lions coming all across the globe. We got Canada in the house. I can see Australia coming into the house. We got a bit of England as well, too. Good to see you. Good to see you. Steve Irwin, that's my man right there out in England. And today's going to be an incredible call. And before I even get started, I just want to share something. Earlier today, I was just going through my elevator. I'm in this building. I'm on the 15th floor. I was going in an elevator. I was going up. And the gentleman that walks in, he looks at me and he looks at my t-shirt. And he looks over the t-shirt and he's like, man, that's a nice t-shirt. And I was like, yeah, man, Lion Energy is Thursdays. And he's like, well, what does that mean? And I said, it's Lions Den. I was like, Lions Den is something that I host every single week. And it's all about men on a global scale that want to come together to enhance their communication skills, enhance the way that they can uncage their roar. Because I truly believe that us men need to uncage our roars and really be the lions to fight and to protect and to provide that we were always designed to be, and to ultimately be the kings that we deserve to be. So while I was sharing with this, I'm in a quick little elevator ride. He looks at me and he's like, that's quite interesting, actually. He's like, so what do you guys talk about? I was like, well, we talk about different things, different topics, but it's about understanding emotional resilience. It's about understanding the thought patterns in our heads. It's about thinking about some of the traumas that we may have experienced that we don't really know how to deal with. And he looks at me, and he's a mid-50s guy. He looks at me, he's like, damn. He's like, that's never been taught. That wasn't taught in our generation. Because guys, in a world that we live in, to be a man today is all about rubbing some dirt in it and being a man. But it's also about connecting and communicating with your inner self so that you can go out there and do what you do best. Now, if you're here to figure out tactics, tools to close more deals, to make more money, great, you're in the right place. If you're in the place where you have a love of your life and you want to build more of an intimate, direct relationship with the people around you, then this is the place. And of course, the most important one, I feel, if you're here to better yourself, to understand that the man that you are is you focusing on the betterment of not only just your emotional capacity, but your physical one, then you're in the right place. Gentlemen, I want to just set the intention straight before we get started, because we have an incredible guest speaker that's going to be coming in and adding some massive value to you guys. But I want to make sure that we set the intention straight with the 3 words that give us the baseline, the foundation of what we do here at the Lions Den: brotherhood, blessings, and breakthroughs. The brotherhood is a bond between men. The only time you look down at another man is when you're picking him back up. The blessings from above, because every man on this call and every man that's going to watch this recording has a plan set by God. So believe it. And of course, the breakthroughs. It may be something I say tonight. It may be something another lion says. You're definitely going to get to hear from a powerful lion, but be open to those breakthroughs. Put the ego aside. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a janitor. I want you to understand, when we come into the Lion's Den, we're here as men to grow and to prosper together. And at the end of this call, I want to make sure that everyone's open. And if we get some time from our guest speaker as well, too, we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A and some comments from you guys. So be open to that and be ready to raise your hand and chime in and give your thoughts, because this isn't just my platform. This is a platform for y'all to uncage your roar, to be able to speak your voice and your message, and to be able to ask your questions and make your comments. That being said, before I introduce this incredible man that's going to be able to come up here, I want to be able to just share a little bit with you guys so that you guys can understand a bit of my connection with him and how we've come into fruition over the years. I remember being a troubled teen involved with drinking, alcohol, even involved with the wrong crowds, ending myself up in jail cells and not doing what was right. It took me the focus and determination to say, I need to change and I want something better. Now, the craziest thing was I recognized straight away my number one fear. My number one fear, funny enough, was public speaking. Crazy, but it was public speaking. And then I found a statistic saying that public speaking is the number 1 fear. Death is number 2. So I said, people would rather die than to public speak. So I started a mission. I said, you know what? I want to conquer this. And I went to this conference. I still remember sitting in this RAIN conference at the back of the room at the Red and White Club in Calgary, Alberta. If you remember that. And we were in this real estate conference room, and I was sitting in the back of the room, and I see this speaker come up on stage for the first time. And the way that he articulated, the way that he handled that stage, the way he commanded truly that stage, got me to think just one simple thought. I said, one day I'll be able to speak like that on a stage. And it set me on the course of playing that game, playing the game of understanding that I wanted to be a speaker. And I knew it was going to take time. I knew it was going to take 10 years, and it has been 10 years since that moment that I'm sharing with you today. And he's not only taught me over these years the incredible lessons on communication and connection, it's not only just the controlling the emotions. Now, maybe he'll touch base with that today about the keepers, because I truly learned the keepers from him. Ego was my biggest keeper. And most of us men also deal with ego. We have a lot of ego because it's natural for us. But myself, ego was always that one. It was always that play. It was always me thinking things and me thinking that I could be better in the wrong ways sometimes. Even to a point where I remember, Rich, you were introducing me to a billionaire friend of yours. And I decided to step out of bounds and actually break one of the 48 laws of power. And that was another ego play. So he's always kept me accountable to checking in with those keepers. And I'm sure he's going to talk about that a little bit today. He's worked with some of the most incredible people, guys, celebrities, athletes, leaders. He's raised over $100 million. He has multiple business and ventures across the globe. And above all of that, he's really taught me the baseline of dedication, hard work, and consistency. He was an inspiration, and I'm sharing this with you before you even come up, Rich, an inspiration when it came to me even starting the Lion's Den. You see, this call that every gentleman on this call is on has been 2.5 years of showing up every Thursday, 8 p.m. EST, no matter what happens. Doesn't matter what country I'm in, what time zone I'm in, how I feel that day, I show up on this call. And he has been a true testament and a leader and example to showcase that. Lions, I want to make sure that we all come together and welcome my mentor, the coach of coaches, and the true leading charge of the House of Legacy, Mr. Richard Dolan.
What is going on? Jay Dhahan in the house. Look at all these good-looking people. I don't know what you were saying. I don't even know where you began. I have never seen so many good-looking men in one place. And of course, I'm not talking about Lev Cooper. I'm leaving him out. I don't mean include Billy Mixon. I mean, even though he has a mean beard and no one can sport a cap backwards better than that cat right there. Drew, the Freightliner guy, Duncan. I mean, that's cool. Welbert Diaz, man, you're going to win the award for the best worn beard today. Axl Rose, whoever's in the background, man, they had the best clock. I saw it. I saw whoever had that clock going. I saw it, man. I saw it. But it's good to see a lot of you guys here. It's great to see you, Lev Cooper and Lou and Dustin. What's up, man? It's great to see you, Alan. It's great to see King Kobe, the real estate killer, who's also a thriller. But my brother, Vince, I see you, man. I see you, brother. I see you with the palm trees in the background representing each one of your members of your family. God bless. Mark Jean, you sexy machine. Beverly Hills in the house. Good to see you. But everyone, listen, it is not every day a mentor gets to hang out with the mentee who's now become the mentor himself. Very rare. What a blessing. And I do want to say, before we begin and before we dive deep and before we go long, I mean, if you're making notes, I want to start here because I'm coming to bring it because you got to own it. And it's really rare that during our existence, our walk, talk, and experience of life, a human being takes a stand for you. It's really rare. We all have mom and dad, and sometimes they've kicked you out or forgotten you. And you know what I'm talking about. I mean, sometimes our path to the future is a bumpy one. And a man like Jay being able to say, look, let's bring this brotherhood together for those 3 B's, not just the connectivity being the brotherhood itself, the blessing it represents, the life you embody, but man, breakthrough? Come on, man. Usually we always talking about breakdowns. And in the 80s, it was used to be called break dance. And that's how we dealt with breakouts. But other than that, man, Jay, good to see you. I know it was long-winded on the intro, but I was just really excited to see Mr. Basinga in the house and Jasmal on the road and Alan driving, and we can take a peek at him through the steering wheel. But what's up, man? Jay, you good? Happy birthday to you. I hope you had a blessed one.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessed, man. Looking forward to the conversation. We got a lot of gentlemen coming all around the world to come chime in. So I love this, and I look forward to hearing from you and any value that you can create in the Lions worlds.
Well, I think first and foremost, you know, anytime we ask ourselves the question, first, what am I doing here? I mean, y'all got food to make, you got dinner to serve, you got kids to tend to, you got shit to do. But you always have to ask yourself, when was it last you made yourself a priority? So hooking up on these Thursday nights as a Lion's Den reminds me of a great quote, a Chinese proverb that said that in order to get the cubs, you've got to be willing to go into the lion's den. So anytime, and I mean every time, I hear of anyone talking about, referring to, or identifying themselves as a lion, I mean, we ain't talking about Gopher Club. I mean, this ain't the gathering of giraffes and tall nakedness. I mean, lion was chosen for a reason, for its strength, for its stature, for what it symbolizes, but more importantly, for the authority they are and who you all represent. So again, a big congratulations to everybody here that makes themselves a priority by holding up this community so you all together can enjoy connecting for the like-mindedness that Jay not only stands for, but embodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Richie. And I think just going back to the lion comment there, you go over to the lion and you look at the animal kingdom. You see the lion responsibility is to roar. That's the responsibility. It's not the one that goes out there and actually kills and brings the food home. That's the lionesses that do that. But it's the lion's job to roar so loud across that animal kingdom to make sure that all other animals know not to go in that direction, so that he gives that boundary, that protection. And I feel that us men are always really inclined to getting to that point. We are here as providers and protectors. So to be able to use that reference as a lion is why we want to uncage our roar.
Well, but here's the issue, guys. We are born to win, but conditioned to lose. The old man said that. Zig Ziglar, may he rest in peace in his power. We were born to win, but conditioned to lose. So you got to ask yourself the question, and ask it often, how did I become as I am? And why is it that success eludes me? And by the way, I don't mean like you've got to be crazy successful. This ain't a 10x conversation. This isn't about, having it all. This ain't about recounting your thoughts and your recollection of what Scarface was all about, being the king of the jungle, so to speak. This is about what is it that prevents us from really always feeling that success is a fleeting experience or a thing to strive for. Now, I heard you in the introduction and you wanted to talk about these keepers. So I'm going to start right with some content. The reality comes down to this, is that your mind, everyone just do the same thing I'm doing. And unless you're driving, do not. Just point up here. That's the most expensive real estate in the world. And that's what sits between these two fingers. And that's your brain. But over 3 million years, the only act that was perfected over that period of time was the act of one thing and one thing only. It's the one thing you mastered, and you have done so for millennia. And that's to survive. Not to be happy, right, Harold Peck? Not to be flourishing, not to be fulfilled, not to be motivated, inspired, empowered, emboldened, or even moving up. It's just to survive. So you have to ask yourself the question, well, what would stop me from having it all? And that is one very important thing that your brain is always looking for: uncertainty. And unfortunately, the world is uncertain. Lev Cooper's driving with his beautiful, who's that? Who's that in the back there? Is that a boy or girl? It's the whole family's in the house. Come on. Come on, man. You got style in that crew. But my point is this, is that, wherever they're going, they intend to get there, but the path is uncertain. You can have an intention of getting successful. You can have an intention of being happy. You can have an intention of being motivated. But the reality is that until it is certain, it is a doubt. And your mind, right, your brain has perfected the act of surviving. So whenever there's uncertainty, whenever there's a place that's unknown, whenever you're heading into a space that is just something that you're just not clear about, you shut down. And not shut down like close up. I mean, it's not in your DNA to forge forward. This is why we admire explorers. This is why we admire innovators and disruptors, because they've done the imaginable. They felt the pull back. They felt the feeling small. They felt the feeling stuck, feeling stalled, feeling stopped, and did it anyway. And we're like, damn, good for them. We see it in sports. That's why we celebrate it. We watch it, whether it's on the gridiron, whether it's on a rink, in a ring, or on a pitch. People powering through fatigue and or defeat or a potential loss. So whenever we feel that we're uncertain, whenever the future is unpredictable, We stall, we stop, and or we get stuck. Who here by show of hands has ever felt that? Show of hands. By the way, my hand's up. I ain't demonstrating. I'm expressing. I've been there. And by the way, it's Thursday. I was there just yesterday. And I guarantee I'm going to feel it tomorrow and the next day. You want to know why? That's what it means to be human. By the way, that's the reason why I think your lion's den is a stand for not a man, but for all men. To say if you feel small, stuck, and or stalled, yo, I'm here for you. Not I'm going to get you unstuck. All you guys know, from Axel to King Kobe to Alexander to Mark Jean, Sex Machine, Ari, what's up? You hairy bastard. I mean, for all of you, each and every one of you, y'all hear me? No one got you where you are but you. Welbert knows it. Drew knows it. Cole Brecka knows it. We all know it. No one really got you here but you. So how did you do that? You powered through. You felt the fear, you did it anyway, right? You felt the fear, you did it anyway. You felt being stuck, but you got unstuck. You sought help. You got coaching, counseling. You lean on your girl. You lean on your guy. You lean on your fellow crew, your community, your church, your synagogue, your mosque. Is that DJ Khalid in the house? Oh no, that's Christian Garcia. What's up, man? So point being this, is that when you're able to really first acknowledge that you're stuck, stalled, or stopped, you begin to become unstuck, stalled, or stopped. The acknowledgement begins the demolishment. It begins to undo where you're at. Now, before I get into the keepers, as in like what is up there, let me pause for a minute and turn over to you, Jay. Tell me something, brother. Do you get what I'm saying? This whole idea of feeling stuck, stalled, or stopped, have you witnessed this as a lion's den keeper? Have you witnessed this as the leader of this group?
Absolutely. And I think the word that you really said that hit hard is the survival part, right? Because all we want to do is survive. And
Whoa, hold on. That's all we're built to do. You ain't built to be happy. You ain't built to be rich. We were born with the blessings and the opportunities to, but you are not born coming out the chute saying, all right, man, when is it my turn to become Elon Musk? That's not what happens. It's a byproduct of powering through your hard wiring of just surviving. And by the way, what are you meant to survive to do? Who can tell me? I'm going to look in the chat room. And don't say it, Jay, because you know it. You're a masterful student of mine. You've embodied much of this language, this law, and this thinking. Let me see. Mastering what? In order to do what? Your only purpose is really to exist to do what? To do what? Recreate. Now, hold on. I'm going to say recreate, or is that recreate? Because if I was hanging with Drew, I bet you looking at you, man, that means like that sounds fun. Survive, be fully alive. But I think JC and Drew got it right. It's to reproduce, to recreate, to leave another version of ourselves behind. Y'all get that? Give me double OKs. Double OKs, you got me? I mean, that's what it's about. So, I mean, if you choose not to have children, or if you chose to try but you couldn't, it's all good. That's not what I'm suggesting, but that's the ultimate purpose of a human being. You weren't put on this planet so that you can actually, just be happy. You were meant to leave another behind, or two or three. So the reality is that if you're, and by the way, that's why we peak out at a certain time. That's why women peak out at a certain time. Like we are best looking, our most vibrant, the sexiest we ever will be is more about the beginning than it is near the middle or end. Y'all get that? Even though looking around here, everyone average age, you all look about 23. You get what I'm saying? So things not worrying. That's right. I got you, Drew. So I'm the one who brings that average up. So actually, we have JC to thank, by the way, because he's like, what are you, JC, 12? I mean, so he brings our whole average down, yo. I mean, thank God for him, right, Alexander Proctor? And not to be confused with Procter and Gamble, all things good. So kidding aside, my point is this, is that to your point, Jay, we were born to survive, so to fulfill our purpose. And our purpose in humanity is to leave another behind, to leave another version of ourselves that took 3 million years to perfect the idea of being here as powerful as I am. Yeah. But pick up from where I left off.
Understanding the I was going to say quantifying it. Going back to survival, right? Survival is hard because we don't know how to quantify it. So I think the first thing that you said in terms of acknowledging is that first step to quantify. You see, I've gone through so many experiences in my life, specifically wanting to just be the best, be the Elon Musk, so to speak, be the next guy. But until I could acknowledge some of the thoughts that were happening up here, subconsciously, it was very hard to take the right actions, even though I wanted them so bad.
Yeah, but yo, there's nothing sexy about survival. Think about it, gents. There ain't nothing sexy about survival. When was the last time you celebrated making rent, putting food on the table, treating that woman every single time y'all go out, or having brought children into this world and providing a wonderful home for them? We rarely actually celebrate survival as an accomplishment, because I want y'all to just look at yourselves right now and realize one thing and one thing only. It is an absolute blessing you've made it this far. It is magic. It is power. It is truly the embodiment of what it means to be a lion. Because quite frankly, I don't see too many young lions lying on the side of a road as roadkill. When you see lions dying and or dead, they old and gray. They've been spent. They've hunted, and been the hunter. Y'all get what I'm saying? So for all of you, and to your point, I think what's happened is that there's been an illusion. We've been served a little bit of a wrong view that success is about achievement, about a scoreboard, about W's, and to avoid the L's, when life is full of W and L's. It's both. To appreciate a win, you got to lose. And to appreciate a loss, you've got to have won. So the reality for you is that to really shift your relationship to what it means to just get by and to survive, that is an accomplishment. Whether sober, whole, happy, at peace, loving your mom, your dad, or whatever lies ahead, or just falling back in love with your future. That's what it means to survive. Survive another day to kill another day. Survive another day to go and get it another day. And to be, if you're taking any notes, be a living demonstration of that fact so you can inspire other folks who are struggling, other brothers who are in the ditch, other brothers who are stuck at the bottom of a bottle, other brothers that are looking for Wellburn saying, how did that guy do it? How did Cole pull this off? How is Axel able to get the job done but still be a part of a club that he said he would be? Like, it ain't in the way. We all can have excuses, but what you're making room for is excellence. And there's excellence in getting by. There's excellence that's worth celebrating in survival, right, Jay?
Absolutely, there is. And I think one thing to touch base on is like this whole stigma around social media and the way that we've tried to portray success, especially as a man, right? To be successful in this limelight and this social media eye is all about, having a nice house, having a nice car, and creating this image where you can provide and you can protect on a level that's very superficial. And for many years, I did the same thing. I was always chasing the cars and the clothes and the watches. And as much as those things were great, there was more purpose behind understanding the mental game to it. And I think that's, again, has been a huge factor, Richie, that you've been able to teach me over the years is, really perfecting and working towards the perfection of that mental game.
Listen, man, I think sexy is about, it's not about stuff. I think sexy is about significance. I think that sexy is about being significant in the ways in which you hold and value dearly to yourself. Like whatever moves you, whatever touches you, whatever keeps you inspired in playing the game of life. So when we think about social media, and you're right, Jay, we all play games. I mean, it's been said that we all buy shit we don't need to impress people we don't even like with money we ain't even got. I mean, if no one was around to watch you do what you're doing, who would care what you got? Who would care what you're driving? I mean, at the end of the day, as I've gotten much older in my time and mature, and thank goodness earlier, I don't care what I drive. I got an 18-year-old son. That guy cares more about what I drive, what I own, what I got more than me. And he tries to convince me every day, goes, Dad, if you take this car that you got and trade it in for this thing, we can upgrade this and upgrade that. I go, dude, chill out, man. It's cool. I don't even drive much. I fly planes. I get here, I go there. I'm good, man. No, you don't understand you, but we can look like this and we can look that, playing different games. You want to know why? If you're taking down notes, I'd write this down. Different stage gives you a different state. So I had to say to my young lion, listen, it's good you're driven by those things, but don't define yourself by those things. Things come and go. Who you are must always grow. So when you think about these keepers, and it's what governs your whole machinery, your mechanics, your view, your outlook. And by the way, and Mark Jean, Money Machine, you're going to appreciate this. Whatever you're experiencing is a byproduct of what is attempted by your mental state to protect you. Let me explain. I call it Jeff. And Jay's likely shared this before. And Jeff is an acronym, JEF, for those who are mnemonically challenged. If you're writing this down, I'd start right there. Jeff starts with J for judgment. So in other words, what's judgment got to do with it? Well, if you're going after it in your life and you're just about to go and take that leap of faith, yeah, and you stop, and you say, whoa, I'm going to stop for a second. If you think and reflect, what's holding you back? What are you afraid of? And judgment comes up. What's my mom going to say? What's my dad going to think? What will my wife think of me? What will they say? What will they think? What will they do? How will they assess me, judge me, critique me? It's about someone else's judgment. That's what holds you back. And by the way, don't forget, what holds you back keeps you small, stuck, and safe. But safe ain't sexy, and safe ain't significant. But safe is good, but not great. Safe gets you through to another day, but not conquering every day. But it keeps you there. So judgment's one. Now, E is for ego. And the ego's all over here, as Jay pointed out, and it was very vulnerable of him to do so, which speaks to the authentic expression that he is and continues to embody. It's good work that you've been doing. Proud of you. But ego is something where it's like, hey, if I step out there, I ain't ready. I mean, I toured with Tony Robbins for 7 years. I've never watched footage of me ever on that stage. You want to know why? I wasn't proud of the guy I was. I wasn't proud of the person I was, who I was trying to be. My ego would prevent me from watching that footage. It's only until I spoke on stage with him one last time, the last time I worked with him, which was only about maybe 5 years ago, where I actually watched that video because I finally was up there for him. I wasn't up there for me. Ego is the version of yourself you believe you need to be, and so it stops you. So you're taking that risk, that chance, and or making that effort to do that thing you want to go get, and all of a sudden you get stopped. What stops you? Oh, yo, I don't want to look bad. How am I going to look great? Will I look to be the best? Will I match the image in my mind of myself? Because remember, we're all living legends in our mind. I am, you are, we all are, and you should be. But that will have you get stuck. That'll have you keep small. That'll have you pay safe. Now, the last one's fear. F is for fear. Like you're just downright afraid. And afraid of what? Afraid of losing control, getting it wrong, or messing it up. And that's a genuine concern. But sometimes that stops you. So remember, whenever a lion, which you identify as, is ready to roar, and you stop, you slow down, or you back off the gas, the question you need to ask yourself is, what keeper is holding me back? What mental, like that little angel, good and bad, when that angel comes on and says, hold on there, Welbert, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? Right? Or, well, hold on a second there, Alexander, right? This may not be time for us to go out there and shine and put all that attention on us. Or hold on there, Vincent. What if we get this wrong? What if we haven't figured this out? What if we didn't practice enough? Or we'll get this perfect. So any of those statements that happen in nanoseconds in your mind and they hold you back and they get you stuck. Now, in just 60 more seconds, if I can have it, Jay, you spoke of social media. So there is a fourth keeper, and it's a very recent development for my psychology on the source code to one's confidence. You see, judgment and what they say, or ego, what I hope, or fear of what I'm concerned about all holds us back. But there was one more. And I missed it. I missed it because I underestimated the power of social media. And it's F. Jeff spelt truly. F for fantasy. You see, when it comes to ego, that's our view of ourselves. But when it comes to fantasy, it's about what view I hope others have of me. Give you an example. I used to have a friend. He's no longer in my life. We all cut friends out of your life that are just downright no good for you. I just had to finally cut this guy loose. And I grew up with him. But this was the kind of cat that when social media first started, and I was a very wild cat that always took pictures wherever I went with celebrities or doing stuff, things that Jay does and things I'm sure you've seen before. And I wasn't quite social media ready yet. But I would send him a picture. Hey, yo, check this out. I'm in Hollywood doing this. Or check this out. I'm at an NBA game. Check this out. And you know what he would do? He would take those pictures and post them on his social media as though that's where he was. That's what he was doing. That's what he was up to. He was projecting the view that matched his fantasy of how he hoped the world would view him. Now, to be clear, in case any minds went wandering, that was not Jay. This was an old friend of mine who's no longer in my life. So the more, and by the way, I would never expect Jay to say that nor do that. Jay's been in all those places I've been, taking plenty of pictures himself. My point I'm trying to say to you is that fantasy is this vision you have for yourself, you want the world to have of you. And as a result, it holds you back, gets you small, and gets you stuck. So that's Jeff, Jeff. And those are the mental constructs that keep us small. Jay, what do you think about all that?
Well, first of all, I've definitely known the Jeff model without the extra F for many, many years. And it's been a huge learning curve for me to go through the judgment, the ego, the fear. You know, the way that I start to interpret it is the judgment of others, right? What you think others are feeling, the ego within yourself and the fear of the unknown. But to bring in fantasy now is a very different, unique perspective because of the word that comes to mind, which is pressure. I feel we put, as men specifically, we put a lot of pressure on our shoulders to maintain, to manage, to mitigate some of these keepers that hold us back, that we don't acknowledge, we don't admit it. We don't tell ourselves, we don't wake up in the morning, go into the mirror and be like, yeah, I have an ego problem. I need to deal with my ego problem, right? We don't necessarily talk like that within ourselves. But when you are looking at yourself, man, in the mirror, and you're taking that time to reflect, and understand, what is it that I need to improve on? What are these keepers? And what about them is holding me back? Now, why are they there? Because they're there. Rich just explained that to you. They're there to condition to keep us surviving. But to be able to really ask yourself, okay, which one is it? And what is that actually doing for me? Gets you start to ask those questions for yourself so that you can be more proud about that line in the mirror.
Well, I love that you said that. And I think I would agree with not only everything that you said, but be proud that you said it, because you never know how to shift your relationship with the keepers until you start dancing with them. It's almost like feel the fear and do it anyway. So a lot of times, I used to say that a particular person in my life, and I can't say who because I don't want to put them on the spot, but a particular person in my life that was important, I would say to her, honey, you are the place I take dreams to die. It's true. It's like this woman would always tell me why it won't work, why I should stop, why I should really just like put myself in check, how that was dreaming too big, how I was thinking too wide, how I was going too far. Now you got to understand, like my business as the CEO of the House of Legacy is a financial based one. I have a coaching portfolio where I advise brands and people and stuff. And I have a wealth management portfolio that's comprised of real estate, investment banking, and offshore banking businesses. So what I am as a brand is I represent all these conversations, whether it's human betterment or financial life leadership. And in all that, one of the things I specialize in is reinventing broken icons. So I'll give you one example. Mike Tyson. I mean, not only was I a fan of Mike growing up watching his fights, I mean, who doesn't like Iron Mike Tyson, Dynamite Kid? Come on. I mean, talk about a great story, right? But when I first hooked up with him, he just freshly came out of jail. He was just convicted of rape. I mean, he was imprisoned. Now, he gained a lot of weight and he gained a lot of notoriety. But before he negotiated the deal with a movie that I swore to him, dude, this is going to put you on the map, especially with young people. He goes, why do young people need to connect with Mike Tyson? Because young people's your future. Because the people who knew you have given up on you. It's time to find a new flock. He was in The Hangover and it reinvented him. He ends up going into this world. It gets translated in different languages. And all of a sudden, all kinds of kids from 20, 18, 17, looking up Mike Tyson. You want to know why? They didn't know who he was. They never saw him fight. He fought way before they were even born. My point from telling you this, though, is this. Nobody in my world supported me in supporting Mike Tyson. Why? Rich, the guy was a convicted felon. He went to jail for rape. I said, well, guess what now? I look back all these years. I advise someone who's a criminal convicted convict, who's now the president of the United States. I mean, I've worked with someone who went to jail for insider trading, who's now the Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, I've advised people who may have fallen down, broke up, and or came into bits and pieces. But everything works when you work it, including you. So I have a soft spot for anyone that's been broken down. I have a soft spot for anyone who's actually been fallen apart. I have a soft spot. Why? Because I myself was a broken man. In fact, I was a broken boy. It just so happened that I built myself up since then. So I love that you talked about pressure, Jay, because pressure, and I want you all to write this down and never forget it. There is no power in pressure the minute you acknowledge it exists. I'll say that one more time. The minute you acknowledge the pressure, it evaporates. The minute you're upset, the minute you're gripped, the minute you're mad, the minute you're confused, the minute you're having an experience that's gripped you, the minute you acknowledge it, it untethers you. You diminish its grip on you. Why? And here comes the big word. That's a big coaching term. You've distinguished it. And once you distinguish it, friends, you extinguish it. Distinguish, extinguish. Once you have a distinction, we're able to see, damn, I was blinded by that. My ego got me that time. Bad ego. Distinction, extinction, right? Or damn, dude, I'm going out there on the stage right now. I am scared out of my pants. I need another pair of underwear. Distinction, extinction. Y'all get the track? Give me a thumbs up. Y'all with me? All right. So pressure is cool. Permanent pressure ain't. Because as they say, it's not the weight in life that will kill you. It's the way you carry it that does. So if you feel pressure, that's good. You up to something. But if you are carrying that pressure in such a way that it weighs you down and hurts your heart and wears your feet, come on, man. Come on, man. It ain't going to last. You won't have the endurance. Jay, what do you think?
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your vulnerability as well to be able to share with the Lions on the call. And, as even sharing a little bit of your background and some of the most incredible people that you've been able to work with as well too. Something that came to mind for me was, understanding Charles Darwin and how he said it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent ones. It's the ones most adaptable to change. And I think that acknowledgement and understanding when to change, when to pivot, when to understand that there's people in your life that you may need to disconnect from because they aren't serving you. I always say that about family as well too. Family is awesome because they love you and they want the best for you, but they don't know what's best for you. It's something that is inevitable, and being able to be adaptable to change in this everlasting world is so important, especially with keeping your keepers in check. Like you mentioned, Richie, right? Keeping those keepers and acknowledging that they're there and focusing on them, working towards them, but also being able to go there and actually live your life. Like not just being always focused on having to correct and having to battle and to fight, but actually just being able to enjoy it. Because isn't that the whole point?
It is the whole point. I mean, first of all, as soon as you get it right and tight, like Oric Quick did tonight, he's going to get the award for best dress on this call. Just I want to make sure he ripped that award out of your hand, Jay. Wilbert's got best beard. Ari's got the craziest hairdo. But man, we got my friend Oric here with the best dress. I mean, I want to point something out. What's up, Michelangelo? Good to see you, brother. I want to point something out, and you said it. If you've ever had a hard time giving up a relationship, I'm going to tell you why it's hard. Because it's a function and matter of the heart. It's hard to give up a relationship, but it's easy to give up a conversation. You see, if you're in relationships with people, but the conversations you have are diluting your power, robbing you of your magic, compromising your genius, yeah, then you want to give up the conversation. And if it just so happens to give up the person, so be it. The person is a part of the function of the conversation. Conversations is a logical conversation, but a conversation about a person is a heart-based one. That's why it's hard to give up bad people, bad company, bad brothers, bad girlfriends, bad boyfriends, and on it goes. So what I want to just make sure I give you as a gift, Jay, is that, yeah, if you're finding yourself in a position where you've got to give something up, frame it as a conversation and always ask yourself the question, does that serve me? Does that lift me up? Does it honor my main, right? And elevate my magic? Or does it rob me? And if it does, move that conversation or give it less space and time.
I love that. And for the gentleman on the call, I want to switch gears here a little bit just because we're getting to that time here. I want to just make sure that, of course, Richie, I know you for 10 years now. You've been mentoring me, you've been helping me and supporting me in so many different ways. But for the guys on the call that don't really know too much about you, can you just give them a bit of an intro and a little bit of just some understanding about yourself?
Well, you're kind of doing this backwards, man. I already took off my shirt and we've already laid in bed, and now you want to know my name. All right, let's go and do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm teasing you, buddy. I'm giving you a hard time. I mean, look, my name is Richard Dolan. I'm a financial leadership author by design. My whole background is in the world of happiness economics, behavioral finance, investor resilience. So I've spent a lifetime in the world of money, in the world of wealth, and the world of worth. I grew up on Bay Street, built on Wall Street, and I've raised $10.5 billion in my lifetime. And by the way, I'm just getting started. I mean it. I'm just getting started. So for me, I'm a money guy. Like that's really how I'm built. That's how I'm wired. Sure, I've been involved in real estate. I've been in venture capital and startups and such. But what's interesting is that as I was marketing my business way back when I was in my early 20s, I just so happened to meet a promoter who had just signed a brand new speaker who was the 44th president of the United States. Sorry, 42nd. And that was Bill Clinton. So he had offered me the opportunity of actually sponsoring the event. So when I had the opportunity of sponsoring the event, now remember, I had an experience being trained in the wealth management business by Tony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, Brian Tracy, Stephen Covey. I mean, a lot of great leaders of that time. I've worked extensively with Zig Ziglar, T. Harv Eker. I was a part of the secret group. So I already had a good background in personal development. So I was already dangerous by the time I got into the financial services business. But what was huge for me, here comes my tipping point. When I sponsored the event and the president was up on that stage and 5,000 people were in the room, and who here, by show of hands, has marketed to a large group of people? Anybody? You've marketed trade show, expos, conferences, right? I noticed myself at the back of the room, and the only time I got to see people and their faces was when they went to the bathroom or had a butt break. And either way, you didn't want to interrupt them. I mean, they're rushing out to go to the bathroom or they're rushing out to get a cigarette going. But they never stopped for me. And I always thought, why do I not put myself up there where everyone's looking? So what I did, to your point about evolve or die, I started thinking, what can I do in this room that would actually put me on stage and give me purpose? I noticed everyone in the room. I looked for the need. Everyone was taking notes. Anyone ever been to a conference and you're taking notes? You're taking notes, right? Speaker speaking, you're taking notes. You're taking notes. You spent $200 you didn't have to hear stuff that you never even knew. You're taking notes. So I went on stage after paying a sponsorship fee, and I told the sponsor at the time, I said, yo, I got a great idea. Let me try. He goes, go ahead. You pay me my money. He's counting his money. He goes, you got 5 minutes to introduce the next speaker. And I said, hey, folks, by the way, I'd love to get your contact information. If you come to my booth at the back, drop off your contact info. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you my notes. You see, I've got a team of people in the backstage here. You can't see them, but they're my team. And we're taking notes that you won't get. Why? Because we spend time with the speakers before they come on stage. So if you like a copy of my notes, your notes are good. Mine are perfect. If you want my perfect notes, please come on by. Yo, I got in trouble because everyone wanted my notes. Everybody gave me their name and number. And that forced an opportunity for my guy who owned this company to the table from called Power Within, whose partner was Tony Robbins, and said, Richard, I want to team up with you. I said, perfect. I became a partner. And that's what let me get in business with Tony Robbins and President Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, and all these legends. So when people look at all that history, they say, wow, you were in the right place at the right time. No, man, I created that place and I developed the time. So talk about evolve or die. It's true, Jay, you're spot on. So for me, that was my background. I took a lot of that celebrity equity and I leveraged it. I leveraged it to the point where now I'm an advisor to icons, legends, and gods of culture and commerce, from Drake to Tyson to members of the royal family to several billionaires on the planet. One billionaire client of mine, by the way, at one point at his peak, employed 200,000 employees across 400 factories located in over 30 countries. The guy generated $40 billion in sales. Those are my clients. So to be a high school dropout who didn't come from the Lucky Sperm Club. I wasn't a part of the Kosher Nostra to arrive here. Whew, that's a miracle. That's a miracle I made, a miracle I made, and I'm still cooking it. Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all get me? Thumbs up. So that's a bit about me. But hey, Jay, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me?
Absolutely. That's incredible. Like incredible background for you to be able to connect with all these
Go
incredible
on,
people.
Rico.
But you being able to say that you created it and having that conviction and that confidence to be able to own that. I think every man on this call wants more conviction to a certain degree of knowing that they got themselves here. You said it at the beginning of the call, right? We've all gotten ourselves here, regardless of anything.
Dude, we are the captain, the general, and the ship. You are the vessel, you are the power, the fuel, and the direction. Like you are it. People say, "Oh wow, the universe is huge," and I'm just no. The universe is conspiring around you. This is you. That's the universe. It is
Yeah.
your bitch, if I may just say, very boldly. You ain't its bitch. You're not one of a 8 billion. You're 8 billion. We are all one, right? So when you start realizing the power of and the blessing to just who you are, and I don't want to get energetic or bless up and or understanding the laws of molecular energy. We are all conversations. Remember, as Martin Heidegger said, and he's the great German philosopher, the state in which you were born into is the state called thrownness. So you had no say in how you arrived. But what you do have say in is how it goes. So you had no say in the parents you got, the hair color you got. Not everyone got a good head of hair like Ari. Not everyone's good looking like the Chief Harold Peck Jr. Not everyone can be as intensively listening like Julian Nelson or Axl Rose. Not everyone can be as active as Rico Chirito. I mean, not everyone can be as cool as Alexander Proctor. I mean, that guy's got a poker face I wouldn't want to mess with. Drew, I see you, man. Drew, you got good energy, man. So with all of you guys, my point is this, is that the thrownness in which you were thrown into, you had no say in the values, the environment, the climate. I mean, could you imagine being a baby being born right now in the southern border of Ukraine, or being born right now in the world of, let's say, Palestine or the Gaza Strip? I mean, or you could be born and be lucky enough to be a part of a world where there's just peace and paradise. I mean, you have no say in it. So to go from where you were, which is not a permanent state, to where you are, guys, that's your miracle. Where you are is a departure from where you were, whether a mindset, whether a state, whether a state as in a place, and or a state where it's a part of your mind. Y'all get that? What's up, Omega?
Absolutely, Rich. And this is kind of the background of what we do here at the Lions Den, which I love so much, is the voice. It's uncaging that roar. When I say uncage your roar, it means that roar that's maybe hiding inside, that may just needs to be in tune. Whichever one it may be, acknowledge it, as we've learned today, but really hone in onto it. And this is where I really want to be able to redirect the call. And if Rich, you'll be here for an extra 10 minutes here with us, I want to make sure that this is a platform for Lions to roar. It's not just about us being able to speak and preach and teach. It's about being able to get your voice out there, to uncage your roar. So I want to make sure that you guys are chiming in, put up your hand here, and I'm going to start unmuting a couple of you. And before I do that, I just want to share one thing. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, Rich, for all the value that you've added here to the Lions and to all the guys that are on the call today. But yesterday was my birthday. Yesterday was my birthday, and it was a very powerful day because I'm a type of guy where it's like there's a New Year's and there's a calendar New Year, but my birthday is kind of like my New Year, right? Everyone felt that before? It's like my refresh, my recycle. So it was a good time for me to take some time for myself and reflect, really reflect and refresh. And I was praying to God, and I said, God, help me with this next chapter. I said, give me some guidance, give me some light, position me correctly. And I was just asking for that in a prayer. And instead of a response, instead of a conversation, instead of what the typical maybe response is, what you look for in the response from God, I just got 6 words, 6 specific words that were given to me yesterday. First one was pray. The second one was listen. The third one was wife, then ego, then alcohol, and then health. These all came spitfiring, these 6 specific words. Now, there's a narrative that could be, I need more of, or in some cases, I may need less of. But that's my journey, and that's my next chapter that I'm about to seek into. Gentlemen, Lions, Kings on the call. God bless, take care, and thank you for being a part of the Lion's Den.